Let me say a special good morning to those of you listening to Classic Radio 105.5, 105.9 on the FM dial. Those of you who are viewing us this morning via GBN TV, whatever the channels have you chosen to view us via, good morning to you. What about our social media platforms? Also, good morning. Facebook page, YouTube channels, good morning. Welcome. Let me say good morning to Mr. McIntyre once again. Good morning to you, sir, and good Monday morning, I should say.
Good Monday morning to you, GT, and good morning to all our listeners, viewers, followers. You've actually touched it, but I think this morning we want to say a special good morning to the fathers across the nation.
Happy belated Father's Day.
Yes, man.
How was your Father's Day yesterday?
That's good, and I want to also shout out. Thank you to the woman who inaugurated my father's status.
Yeah.
My first child brought 1, 2, 3, and so on. Deborah, thank you very much as well.
All right.
So I had a very quiet Father's Day. I actually spent it off the mainland,
That's good.
But it was working. I was
off the mainland doing work.
Yeah,
quiet work. It was like quietly working.
And with the level of persons that I enjoy working with a lot, the youth.
Okay, great.
So I was out there with to a youth camp training, disaster risk reduction and all that.
All right.
And teaching the youngsters how to live under difficult conditions if you have some kind of disaster, some crisis.
All right.
That you can function outside of the norm. And Pity Matnik was the place where it happened. And congrats again to YEAC.
Yes.
And the Caritas group of persons, the CRS, Catholic Relief Organization, and Caritas. Really sorry.
I too myself had a pretty quiet day yesterday.
Father's Day.
Get to just chill.
Right.
Played around, hang with the children a wee bit.
That was good.
Sometimes we don't get to do that, and it was.
You don't want to
actually cook yesterday.
You did? For the
I didn't want to say that. Right? I didn't want to say that on air, but
she gonna want to look forward to it all the time. That's okay.
I don't think it'll happen again, but
you should. I love doing that when I have to. But there are some kinds of things that seems to fit women most in certain settings.
Yes.
I don't think that there is specifically a task for women and a task for men. But there are some things, in my opinion, that women do a lot better than men.
I agree.
And they fit in kind of nicely doing it.
I will agree.
And there's some kind of patience and something that women have. I know men don't have the tenacity to do some of those. So God bless you, ladies.
I always consider myself to be a patient individual. It comes with my work. You have to have a level of patience.
Yeah.
You understand? So, but women do top it off in terms of the percentage wise.
Yeah.
They do top it off.
Out of the Father's Day thing, GT, what I heard yesterday, it's unfortunate though. I saw some women sending out greetings to all those athletic fathers. Did you see that?
Fathers. No, I didn't.
Yes, the athletic fathers.
I kind of stood off social media and
I paid notice to it a little bit. What they were saying to those fathers who run away from their children.
Athletic father. That's interesting way of putting it again.
I mean, really and truly this morning, I don't think there's any man that should be running away from his responsibility.
Nope.
It's such a lovely thing. I mean, when you're blessed, children, it's just one of the better blessings that one can have.
I would agree.
And I don't see why
I would agree.
People should run away from their responsibility for whatever reasons, and people should shy away. And you've been there, and you've been there, done that, and you come out and then you see the child is not mine. I don't want to mind that child. That is unfortunate.
Not a good feeling. Not a good way for a human being to be for themselves, knowing that you're not thinking about that son or daughter of yours now.
Yeah.
I'll be so saying of yours, who's now left to grow up without
that father figure
in their life.
And you know what, GT, some of us will have a lot of work and responsibility because I father so many more children than that actually came from my loins. A lot of them, I have a lot of children. I have a lot of nieces and nephews around Grenada, and I feel happy to be able to be that kind of person to them. And they keep me going. I was speaking to a couple of them, and I was asking, well, what do you see and whatever it is. And the things that they said to me, I said, you know what? If people look up to me, I cannot let them down.
It is important to know what your road
that, they think I am, that they expect me to be for them, the positive things that they can glean off, and I'm really happy to be able to do that. So the Father's Day thing for me was kind of a cool because a lot of, people's children, other children, see me as their father or they.
That's good.
And I'm happy to be.
That's good. And I certainly know if any of them is listening, they should be appreciative of you mentioning that.
Let us shout it out, GT.
Yeah.
The guys out there, you have children or you have doubts about children, listen. every child deserves a father.
Yeah.
And a father figure in their life. And we ask you men to stand up, face it, stand up to your responsibility. Some of you may not be employed or otherwise, and it does not take money to be a father to a child.
Exactly. It may take a little while to get the bonding and the rekindling taking place, but if you make the effort and go and do what you have to do, surely the process could be fixed.
And finally, we have no problem in Mother's Day being fully recognized universally.
Yeah, we don't get
but
that love.
GT, we don't get the kind of a play on Father's Day.
We don't get the love.
Why do we not get it?
I don't know. We don't get that love for some reason.
Because we don't give it.
The love, the enthusiasm.
Because men don't give it. Tell me, is it because men don't give it as much as women do?
I would say so to a point. But something about women and your mouth are part of it. It's
it's a special
we as
thing.
men are together. We always kindle to a mother more than a father most times.
Well, okay.
You know,
right.
You always find children almost more into their mother more than the father.
So,
for some reason or the other.
So it's not a sense
at
of
a particular stage in your life, that's who you always seem to gravitate to more.
Mothers.
More you gravitate to the mother.
Yes.
You know, except for under the circumstances where maybe the mother may have died in childbirth or at an early age for you. Then the father now gets the presidency. You understand?
Right. So here what? So the children mean a lot to their mothers because by reason of physical connection, that's where they came from.
Yes.
So you expect that kind of bonding to first take place. But the mothers look to the men for the discipline and the support.
Yes.
A lot of time. And so sometimes men let them down.
I agree.
Because when they are pressured by the children and the circumstances of life, and they look to the heavens and then they look back down a few steps from heaven and they see the men and realize, well, I'm alone in this. So.
All right, Mr. Mac. Anyway,
what else do we want to talk about this morning?
We had much have happened. Not much may have happened over the weekend.
Not much, but the rain came in some places.
The rain came. There's a few accidents that may have occurred.
I want to speak about that too.
You want to speak about that?
A little bit, yeah.
You want to speak a little about that? Well, let's get into it. Let's
so first, I want to welcome the rain for Pity Matnik. The ritual at Pity Matnik, the folks went up to the mountain. That's the Peter. That's a beautiful place. Right. And I think Grenada don't recognize what's happening in Caracon, Pity Matnik, how rapid they are evolving and they're growing. And in terms of what's happening, there are a lot of cultural things. They went up to the hill, they prayed for the ancestors to send rain.
Okay.
Well, we got some rain before last night. We got a good shower last night.
So that means the prayers are working?
Absolutely. It is. And the other thing where road safety is concerned, Caracon and Pity Matnik, they're developing as well. And road safety is an issue. We have to take it to the islands.
Yes.
And so our foundation will be championing the cause for road safety in Caracon and Pity Matnik as well. Because at one time when I walked in Pity Matnik, the road network was not so thorough. We didn't have all these lanes in Pity Matnik and all these vehicles. Yeah. And I looked at the roads that they've done and the road that they continue to develop. And they do lacking some level of safety in some places, in particular guardrails.
Yes.
There are some places where they've gone up to the hills and slopes, and they do need some guardrails up there that they should try and put in, and signs and other things for safety in general and disaster risk reduction aspects. Rockfall in some areas, and there's a gentleman up there who works with Nawasa who's championing the cause for safety. Rock, I want to shout him out. I mean, he's doing a fantastic job, and he's trying to keep the culture going with zip lines and all these little activities that Pity Matnik in itself is really evolving. So the whole aspect of not just tourist issues, but we also speak about safety road traffic. And before, when I knew Pity Matnik, there was only a dumper.
Yeah, that used to
that used to pick up people off the jetty and take their goods and their stuff off.
There's a dumper in a dump, right?
In a dumper. Put your stuff in a dumper and they will take you around. That was the means of transport. Right. And wheelbarrows.
Let me just actually, you're talking safety, but individuals who are constructing roads, especially in our sister house, why are these start not put into the safety factors, the guardrails and the signs?
It should be a one package.
These should all come into one package. That's where I'm coming from. Why wait until you finish all the roads? I think all of that should be in part of the arrangements or the contractual arrangements. You're responsible for that, or even though the ministries, you tell them, hey, in the process of developing this road or the whatever project, all of these have to be implemented one time. Don't wait for 3 and 4 or 5 years down the line until something occurs. Yeah. Then you try to say, hey, we should have put some guardrails or we should have put up some sign that says this. Why are we not seeing that happening?
we would not sleep, we will not rest until it's integrated into our developmental processes.
Yeah.
That safety factors generally and more consideration and more consultation must be governed, because it costs the state much more to try to do after. Let us take the time. You have to do 1,000 feet of road, do 700, and ensure that safety measures for the other 3, you limit that.
Yeah.
But you do the 7 very safe. Proper drains, sign markings, rails, etc. So you do less in terms of length.
But the safety
factor is
implemented.
And then you do another again to ensure that it's there. So we do not want to reinvent. We'll have to go over, like you're doing construction, and Wasa come, you cut the road in one place after you finish, and then Glen come and do something else, and another company come do. So you have a discussion.
Why are these not thought about in the initial stages?
We've seen a lot more consultation where that is concerned, with physical planning, where this aspect is concerned. But as we speak about road safety, as you said, the pedestrian crossings, the humps, and the markings, the drains, the box or slipper drains, the guardrails, and all these, and the sign markings, whether you need mirrors or otherwise. These are things that should be part of the package of constructing a strip of road, or if you are rebuilding it or otherwise, that should be there. And we're going to clamor for that. We're going to speak for that.
And it's not that difficult to obtain in this day and age.
I don't think so.
Once you want to get it, it can be obtained.
Right. As we speak on pedestrian cross and the aspect of road safety, I was speaking to representatives from some of the local paint companies in Grenada.
Yeah.
And I asked them, can you guys not produce the quality of paint that would be resistant on our roads in terms of the pedestrian cross? We find it goes away so quickly.
Yeah.
And they said, yes, we could. I said, so why not? They said, we are doing that. But they said the disappointment is, or what is happening, is that the people who are putting it down, they're not preparing the surface properly.
Okay.
And
so that's where the problem lies.
That's where the problem lies. So a lot of times it's not too much in the quality, but there are specifications for putting certain things down.
The stages that it has to go through before.
That's correct. And they said to me emphatically, they know that that's a situation. The surface is not prepared properly. The old stuff has to be cleaned out and other thing, so that you can get more life out of this thing. So Grenada, come on, let's do it better.
All right.
Let us make better.
But that's where now the suppliers are supposed to be the one being part of the process also.
Okay.
So maybe if the supplier has someone who makes the paint, they probably know the process in which it's supposed to be laid down. They should have been part of the process.
Well, maybe they are. They said, but people for fast walk. What do you find? No disregard to the traffic department or otherwise, but sometimes they involve a lot of volunteers and people who just want to do something, and maybe they're not well guided, and so the resources might be stretched, and they may say, well, you don't have the manpower to go mark the pedestrian crossings and so on. Let's act as volunteers or some people to do it. But the preparing of it, they are not aware. All they want to do is put some paint.
Just put the paint down, and that's it.
And that's a disadvantage. So we're saying this morning on this program that the authorities, you should take a closer look at that. It's not putting it down because it's supposed to be put down, but put it down so that it makes good sense. And
it saves you. It saves the money in the long
value for.
What will have taken you 6 months to do it now will taken you 3 and months and so forth. So then you all have to keep constantly doing it if it was done properly in the initial stages.
Great. And there are 2 safety factors where road traffic is concerned that we want to mention. We speak about pop-up places where people assemble and where people set up little shacks on the roadsides, and we allow them to get out of hand before you really deal with it. And there are a couple of places that we see coming up, and it was brought to my attention as recently as this morning. You know, on the St. Paul's Library Road going up there?
Yeah.
On the right hand side and going up, you know, there's some people assembling, and there's some commercial activities seemingly to be happening right around that corner. There's a building that seems to have been abandoned, and it seems to have quite a number of occupants there, and it seems to be, and the report said that there was a near accident in that area, and there are usually near misses on that road continuously because people are assembling there and they're doing commercial activities. They're selling stuff.
Yeah.
We saw that happening further up into the St. David area, just before you get to, I think it's Marmount Junction, around the corner. There's somebody set something up there, and vehicles have to stop right on the corner to purchase this stuff.
And then, so you're telling me the authorities are not seeing that individuals who
I don't know if police pass that. I don't know if police pass these roads
police
very
are
often.
driving all the time.
They do?
The police are driving all the time.
Well,
they're driving around all the time. They have to have.
So if they're driving around, they should see it.
They should see it.
And if you're not seeing it, we're saying that people are telling us.
Yeah.
So you go check it out and ensure that Grenada's Road, they are safer, and the people who are doing the illegal acts and so don't allow them to take root. Don't allow it to fester on them. We have to give them alternative places to do the business, alternative places to live. When we could have said to them in the first instance when they started, get it out. Now we have demolition groups going around and saying that they're occupying government lands, they're squatting.
Yeah.
When they started doing that, so people did not see them. So we have to change.
They're not working on it in the initial early o'clock.
We have to change that approach.
Deal with it early so it does not fester and become the problem.
So,
and there's a norm, and it's a norm in Grenada, you know? Where people, these things are allowed to happen, allowed to happen.
But when it's going to stop?
No one is seeing it to stop it initially.
When it's going to stop?
I don't know. I don't know. Something has to be done.
We hope what we see.
I mean, no one is trying to stop anyone from making a livelihood. I don't think
they say everyone has to eat their food.
No one is trying to stop anyone, but it has to be done properly. And there are places you can and cannot do stuff.
Right. And they should not do it at the expense and the life risk of others. And what we're saying is safety on our roads, it is jeopardized, it is exacerbated because people's action and intervention and in the inability of the authority to enforce is it's compounding a bad situation.
I hope no one says that we are trying to, hinder individuals from making their living.
They will say
I mean, they may say, but it's not our intent. That's not
our intention. But I don't mind people criticizing me for saying the right thing or what should be done. I have no problem with that. It has to be done correctly.
So let me do for a break. Let's take that break and we come back and get into our main conversation this morning. Folks, stay with us. It's To The Point, Classic Radio, GBN TV. We will be right back.
Grenada is on a track to become a Caribbean trendsetter for waste management and recycling. We are establishing a recycling culture to rid our landfill, our country, of plastic waste. Under the OECS Recycle Pilot Project, residents and the business sector are being encouraged to see the potential in plastic. Every day, plastic bottles can be stored and prepared for collection and recycling. Plastic is not waste. There is investment opportunity in plastic recycling. Sustainable clean water, food safety, beautiful beaches, marine spaces, and a potential arena for investment for OECS entrepreneurs. Let's recycle and explore avenues to convert plastic into profit.
Recycle OECS. Green actions, blue oceans.
This moment is all that I've been dreaming of.
Well, focus.
Cricket, lovely cricket, as we bring you ball by ball commentaries of the T20 World Cup. The Cut and Drive Network, in association with this radio station, are pleased to be a part of the excitement. Join me, Andrew Mason, as I lead a team of top-class cricket commentators right through to the finals on June the 29th at the historic Kensington Oval. Cricket, lovely cricket, on this radio station. You got a date, so don't be late.
This moment is all that I've been dreaming of.
Well, focus.
Coming up, it's a summer of style as top designers and their creations hit the catwalk with a Caribbean twist. The World Cup has rolled into town with on-field excitement and beyond-the-boundary thrills in Trinidad and Tobago. Getting married? Honeymooning? Barbados is your top option for an eventful experience. It's Caribbean Passport, right here on this station.
listeners. Welcome back, viewers, to The Point, Classic Radio, GBN TV. And once again, good morning to all our listeners and viewers. Mr. McIntyre, welcome back. We're going to continue on the conversation we started last week.
Yes.
We into the month of June. June 1st is, we say, the official start of the hurricane season. Goes up until the end of November.
Yes.
And folks, listeners and viewers, we have to get ourselves prepared. Preparedness is a key factor here to minimize any disasters that may occur.
Right.
You understand? You have to have that, as you mentioned last week, that mental preparedness is what is most important. Even though whatever hasn't occurred as yet, you understand. But that mental preparedness is a key factor. And that's what we're giving you, and what we're doing here this morning is getting you prepared mentally. That we'll be doing from last week.
You're right.
That mental preparation, letting you know the do's and don'ts, just in case the things that you should be doing in terms of preparing yourself.
Yes.
Just in case a disaster, strikes. Because we have been hearing what's happening in other countries around the world now. The heat situation, flooding. I saw in Miami over the last couple of days. The flooding and so forth. And folks are saying not that they have never seen it, but that the magnitude they are getting it that early.
Right.
That's a bit of a concern. You know. So let's continue on our preparedness.
Some of our Caribbean islands too.
Yeah.
But again, this morning I did not shout out some of our favorite listeners and followers. And I know as I'm going into the hurricane preparedness, there is one of our special followers, Margaret Logie from St. Patrick.
All right.
I want to say a special shout out. I know she's glued to her radio, listening to this aspect of it and looking at television. So Margaret, pleasant day to you. Have a wonderful one. But as we continue to emphasize the readiness for the hurricane season, we don't want to scare anybody, but sometimes I have a sense of intuition and I have a sense of leading that when my spirit drives me to drive something, there's something behind it sometimes. And I just want you to do the hurricane readiness and preparedness and so on, that Grenada gets ready, because we are faced with what is called a hyperactive hurricane season. I want to repeat that it is really beyond average, not above average, because the average is 13, 14 systems per year.
Yes.
And this year we are trending 24, 25.
Yes, it's a
hyperactive season.
Yes.
And everyone is gone twice up, and 50% of that is expected to generate hurricanes and so forth. And major hurricanes, again, form about 50% of all of the hurricanes that are expected to form within this period. It is not spelling well for the region. I continue to reiterate that when the Caribbean is under such threat, it's not just Grenada, but it's the Caribbean. And if one of our countries within the Caribbean, or even someone on the coasts of the Americas and so forth, is threatened or hit, we also feel the indirect effect of it. And one loss of life is one life too many to lose. And so we do not want Grenada. We don't want ourselves to be caught off guard. So those preparedness tips that we're giving, it is really useful. And let me just reiterate and put a disclaimer. We're not taking over the work of NADMA.
No, we're not.
NADMA has endorsed the program that we are doing, and actually their capacity sometimes don't allow them to be as often. So what we're doing is what they would do technically in terms of sharing the information. So it's a national responsibility that we are sharing and ensuring that our nation is prepared to face the eventualities. And so we thought we wanted to expand a bit, that people should understand where hurricanes come from and the hazards that they carry. And over the weekend in our presentations, and so that was aspect of it. Yeah. And the youngsters were quite keen, and they asked the questions, and they were giving even some of the answers, and they were creating logics in terms of how, if we are not prepared, some things that can naturally happen. And we were speaking about some of the hazards like rain, floods coming from rain, landslides coming from the water. We're speaking about the tornadoes, and we're speaking about the thunder and everything else associated, and the strong winds that could be devastating. So we want to expand on hurricane readiness for a bit, and we would endeavor to show you some presentations as up on the screen. These are, I think Master Control is really on the button.
Yes.
He just showed up some of the hazards that are associated with hurricanes. We have winds, floods, coastal erosion, strong waves, and tornadoes that are associated. And you can see in some of the photos that we have there, and I think 90% of the photos you are going to see or are seeing, they are taken from places around Grenada.
Around Grenada?
Yes, I have taken them personally to punctuate to us that we are not immune, that we're not out of the effects that we can have from storms and hurricanes. So we want to go right back to show us the origin of how hurricanes come through. Last week we touched on it a little bit. So we want to just show you that circulation that comes up that speaks of right there, hurricanes where they start. On the right column, there you can see the coast of Africa and the Cape Verde Islands, or some people say Cape Verde Islands. The storms come from across there and it gets across into the Caribbean. So what you're seeing is there is what a tropical depression. But before it gets into a tropical depression, we did say it comes as an area of disturbed weather. So as you look at a tropical depression takes on no real structure, no formation. As it goes further up, it comes in to you see the tropical waves.
From the depression, then it goes to a tropical storm.
And then it goes up there, right up. We had sometime you have the waves before it gets into the depression.
Okay.
And a depression is simply what it implies. When I ask the children what the depression, they say a depression means that you're low, you're heavy, you're down, kind of a thing. And it's simply,
and that's a local way of saying it.
That's saying it. I say, what is when you feel depressed, it's low. And technically, when you have low pressures and so forth, it means that things can generate to become devastating.
Okay.
So when, as we spoke last week, we said the barometric pressure, if it is dropping, it means that the system is likely to be stronger.
Yeah.
And so depression gives an indication here that things are lower and it could create some problem. And it now moves with wind, and it moved with cloud and water. So it moved from the depression into a tropical storm. So storm goes up in terms of wind speed up to 73 miles per hour.
Yes.
So every one of those systems that generates power up to 73 miles per hour, it becomes a tropical storm. And then tropical storms are given names. And there's no scientific way of generating the names. The guys have gotten together, decided we're going to use some names, call them from A to Z, and generate a name, and they would have used them over the years. Now, when one becomes so destructive that it may landfall and destroy,
we want to do that again.
We're not going to see it again.
Yeah.
Right. Good. Now it comes into a tropical storm, and then the wind speed goes up to 74 miles per hour. It therefore means now it goes into a category 1 hurricane. Now as it goes into hurricane, we want to just move the slide up into what it definitely means for the strength of hurricanes. So there we are. So we have the tropical storms move, and then a category 1 hurricane, the impact of it is expected to be low, technically. But any light structure, like wooden structure or otherwise, is vulnerable to strong winds, because wind is the stronger of the force that comes with hurricanes or tropical cyclones, the most feared aspect of it. And that's where it gets it, because it's a cyclone that goes around with the pressure, the water, etc., and it comes through and could be devastating. So we have the category 1, that's low impact.
Okay.
When it goes up to category 2, and we go up to category 3, and then we call them now, it gets into major hurricanes.
All right.
So when you have these systems that generate strength up to 110 miles per hour, the category said then that impact could be moderate. And when it gets up into a category 3,
so that's between 111 to 130 miles per hour.
Correct.
All right.
So I was
consider that's been extensive now.
Can you imagine if he could going down the Morris Bishop Highway driving at 70, 80 miles per hour? What amount of speed is that?
We would fast. We could call that fast driving.
Right.
You understand?
And imagine a vehicle moving at 100 miles per hour. That is really, really speed.
That's a lot of speed.
So imagine a system coming through with force stronger than that. That could be disruptive. And so this is why we said here the damage caused by those categories could be extensive. Okay. And we go up to categories 4 and 5 that indicate that they could be destructive. And when it gets to category 5, which is 150 miles 55 miles per hour and beyond, it becomes catastrophic.
All right.
Good. So we move into where and some of the things that people can actually do when the warning systems come up. So there's a warning system that is kind of it's region based.
Okay.
And it now becomes almost universal based in terms of color codings. So they use now the wind speed, the strength of the storm to give warning periods. Now, what the region has adopted for hurricanes now for volcanoes, etc., they've given a color coding.
Okay.
So this kind of a warning system that we're seeing here, in not a distant future, it will be reflected by a color coding. So, for instance, the green represents moderate, kind of a mild. The yellow means there's an increase beyond just normal.
Okay.
When it gets to orange, like we speak about the volcano, it means that it is dangerous. Then moving to the next, and when it gets to red, it means that it could be catastrophic or otherwise.
Okay.
So a warning system, when we spoke about when you have like a depression or a tropical wave formed outside in the Atlantic or otherwise, there's a warning period that is given, and there's an alert period or an advisory.
Yes.
And the advisory is simply saying that something is likely to happen. You need to be prepared in the event that it does happen.
Yes.
Again, the warning periods are time-centric and distance as well. When it gets to a 48-hour period, 72 to 48 hours, in this you would see a watch declared.
Yes.
72 hours is not necessarily mentioned here. It says 48 hours.
48 hours.
But usually within that 72-hour period, the meteorologists and the scientists, they are monitoring and looking at the system really closely. When it gets within that certain range of the islands or otherwise, a warning is issued. A watch is issued within the 48-hour period. So remember, first, you have an alert period,
yes,
and advisories are given. Second, between the 72 and 48-hour period, the watch is given. Okay. So the watch is given with a large margin of error, yes, meaning that system could either come or may not come. It could develop further, stronger, or it may not. Mm-hmm. So it's almost literal watching what's happening within the 48.
Or you watching the path that is taken, we could put it
technically. But it's not necessarily literal, but it gives that impression, okay, it's a watch, it is something to look out for, and it is given within a particular time and 48 hours.
Yes.
Right? And then it gets closer to home, and except there's some kind of a dramatic turn or divine intervention when it gets into the warning stage, which is 36 hours, and I think last week we mentioned that.
Yes.
It means that more likely than not, your country is going to get hit.
Yes.
And that is 36 hours. Prior to that, the last 10 or so years, just beyond, maybe 10 to 15, it was a 24-hour period.
Yeah. So it used to be 24 hours, that's when they issued the warning.
The warning, but it's since
changed. But they have just moved it now to 36 hours.
What we're saying that people kind of rush to activities to lose time.
We get into that sort of panic mood, some folks will get into that.
So that has changed. So we want to move up. We talk about some of the hazards that are associated with hurricane. And you realize now we are speaking about hazards because our audience now are more informed that there's a difference between a hazard and a disaster.
Yes.
So we know that a hurricane is not a disaster. You agree?
I agree. Right. I'm following your path in terms of how you're trying to explain it.
Good. Because in the past, in school, in our primary and otherwise days of learning, they say there are two types of disasters, right? Natural and man-made.
Yes.
But they are naturally caused disasters because they are caused by natural hazards.
Yes.
So a hurricane is a hazard because anything that has the potential to create some damage.
It's a hazard.
It's a hazard.
Okay, good.
So hurricane is not a disaster, but hurricanes could create disasters.
I'm understanding your clarification, how you're clarifying it.
Nice.
Because people always say, hey, well, if a hurricane is a disaster. I mean, it's a disaster.
Yes.
Can you think, well, it's going to cause it causes disasters, as you mentioned.
And I ask the question a lot of times.
But it's hazard.
I ask the question a lot of times when I teach the subject, and a lot of the students will come and say, I would ask, is a hurricane a disaster or a hazard? And probably, it's a disaster. Why is it a disaster? Because he mashed up this and he has. I said, okay, but hurricanes do come and they go across the sea and nothing happened.
Yes.
So what would you call it then? It just came and they said there's a hurricane outside there.
Yeah.
Blew over the sea and then it is gone. Nothing happens.
But if I had to ask you the question, where does it become a disaster?
It becomes a disaster when it makes landfall or otherwise, or maybe it make fall on the sea as well.
Okay.
And it creates substantial damage that it overwhelms your resources and your capacity to deal with it yourself.
Okay.
So when your resources are overwhelmed at a community, zone, region, or otherwise, it becomes a disaster. Great.
But in the process of it being out there and approaching,
it's just
an hazard.
Great.
All right.
So we want to get to the stage really quickly in terms of what people need to do before, during, and after. So here we go. There are some things that people need to do before hurricane actually happen.
Yeah.
And I think kudos to NADMA, they've been given a lot of these tips. He said store water and food and essential items. Those are some of the basic things. Now, how much water does one need to store? And you store water in sealed tight
and sealed containers, that is
proper.
Clean and sealed containers, as they would say.
And you should have enough water, at least water and food, to last about 3 to 7 days.
Yeah.
Why 3 to 7 days in all of these? Because within a 3 to 7 day period, usually within our region, that is considered the emergency period.
All right.
And most things would get back on its feet or start happening after the 3 to 7 day period.
Okay.
But within that time, one needs to make themselves sustained. The family need to have something that they can go on. So if every person and every family decides to have some things that would last them for 3 to 7 days, you know that your country would be less stressed or otherwise, because people are preparing themselves as individual rather than waiting on the state mechanism to provide them with all of the things that they require.
No, the state has other things to worry about.
Right.
The roads and the cleaning and so forth.
Absolutely. So we're not going to be mentioning everything point by point, but as we show them up on the screen, we're hoping that our viewers, they will see them.
And take
it may make sense for us to reiterate some of them so that the people who are following on radio, they can hear some of the preparedness tips. But I will kind of generalize it in the interest of time. Have enough supply to last. So here says 2 weeks, but the basic technically we say 3 to 7 days. Obtain and store, review your insurance, because people tend to rely on the state mechanism and they don't put insurance on their homes.
Yeah.
You need to ensure that your home
is insured.
And what we found after Hurricane Ivan, that the majority of houses in Grenada, there are quite a considerable amount of them that were not insured. And because home insurance is not a mandate, it isn't, right? Except you have a loan or something and you're committed to some financial institution, then yes.
Then you
right.
do that.
So let us look at something that we can do during the hurricane.
In terms of the preparedness part of it.
So we have all of the before. You ensure that you look at your drains, your surroundings, have things packed up. You have a kit, have your flashlight with backup batteries, and these days we're saying have solar energy power thing. So once the sun is out, there's some level of energy that one would get to recharge the system to keep going. So when a system strike, when a hurricane strike, one of the more difficult thing to do is to remain calm.
Yes.
And it says remain calm. But when you try to remain calm, you are in charge of your senses. You are able to tell the children where to go, what to do, because you now have a family disaster plan. So in the interest of the people who are listening, we said remain calm and provide assurance to children and elderly person. In case you are home and the house is damaged or the main switch or otherwise may be compromised, you should take it off. As a matter of fact, once the system is going to strike or is likely to, you should turn these off. Where there are heavy lightning flashes, avoid getting in contact with metal objects or other things, and avoid shower or bidding during storms, because water could be a conductor to electricity, and electricity is generated through lightnings, etc., and all of that. And if you have some problem with power, then the use of water could also be a problem. So you want to be able to avoid that. Okay? And avoid going outdoor until the all clear is given. I like to say the all clear and not when outside get clear.
Yeah.
Because people tend to believe if something happened during the night and outside get clear, the next day it's time to go out. But you have to wait for the all clear, and the all clear,
especially coming from the authorities.
From the authority. And in this case, I think we mentioned NADMA in bracket.
Yeah.
Because they are the sole authority that would say to you, and they would do that in concert with the Met Office and other technical people, obviously with the state mechanism, the minister with responsibility, the cabinet, and all, they will have to agree that this is where we need to go, and then the all clear is given to that work. All right. So when that has come and passed, it is a critical after the hurricane. So if you show me on the screen, I will kind of read it out so that again our persons following us.
What would occur after the hurricane? Right?
That's after the hurricane has gone.
All right.
There are some people, you call them the disaster people, they refer to the people who are directly emergency response. They are the disaster people, and people tend to believe that they don't have anything to do with that is concerned. But everyone has a stake. Okay. So what you need to do after the hurricane is to avoid going on sightseeing or become a disaster tourist. You should assist in search and rescue, seek medical attention, clean up debris and so on, and don't wait for the police to come and do that for you because they have national security issues to deal with. Assist in road clearance, and some people tend to believe that the cops are supposed to be the travel people, come out and clear. And when they don't protect your business, you say that people loot it. But if you help clean and don't depend just on them, then they could secure your business a bit better. So it is a responsibility. Avoid sightseeing and assist people with damage assessment. Report to Glen, report to Nawasa, anything that may have happened that could become a secondary hazard thereafter. It is not a time to clog up the emergency response by moving around, taking pictures, sending it around, just blocking up the place uselessly. Excuse me. After the hurricane, it's when you want to be able to do what is called the relief process. And there is what you call a damage assessment and needs analysis process that is expected to be undertaken so that our partners that are within the region, you have the CDMA, you have the CDB, you have the USAID, and all of these entities who would come in and generate some kind of a support. The information generated is what will inform the macroeconomic situation that would say Grenada is in such a condition, Grenada requires this kind of a help, or Grenada doesn't require it at all. And so maybe we could take a little break from here.
And then we come right back.
And then we come right back.
All right.
Thank you.
Great information there from you, Mr. Mack. Folks, let's take a break. We're coming right back with much more. Stay with us here on To The Point. We also welcome your calls because, there probably a listener or viewer this morning who is hearing this information and probably never thought about it in the particular way in which it's been presented this morning.
Nice.
You understand? We take your calls. Stay with us, folks. We will be right back here on To The Point. Stay with us.
Spend $50 or more at any Hubbard's department or participating outlets for a chance to win free fuel, free drinks, free prizes, free property and vehicular insurance, free Hub TV and internet, free electricity, free coke, free water, free cooking gas, free paint supplies, free Dutch Lady milk, free passes to Sunshine promotion events for 2024, free groceries, all for one whole year, and every winner receives a free lunch package. But that's not all. Drive away in style in a brand new Isuzu D-Max. It sips, it doesn't guzzle. So fill out your entries and place them into the marked entry boxes. This promotion is brought to you in part by Dutch Lady, Danny, Promo, Supreme Bleach, Creative Chef, Grenlac, Floor, Salt Petroleum, Grenadian General Insurance Company Limited, Coca-Cola, Sunshine Promotion, Caribberies, Coop Bank, Sesame Spain, and Food Fear. Promotion runs from April 2nd to December 24. Terms and conditions apply.
Ladies and gentlemen, the time has come for Grenada to laugh again. Heritage Theatre presents Spice Laugh Comedy Bash 2024, Saturday, June 22nd and Sunday, 23rd June at the Trade Center in Grandance, and on Sunday, 30th June at the Deluxe Cinema in Grenville. Showtime, 7 p.m. every time, featuring some of Grenada's best ambassadors of comedy. Robert White.
I will line up behind the yellow for 9 elections straight. I change color in time to lose the last election. Why? Because I'm always on the losing side.
Dillion Walters.
And don't tell me all you didn't know.
Kareem Alexis and other outstanding comedic performances, all coming to knock you off your seats with laughter. Get your tickets now. Bring out the entire family. Tickets are $60. It's time for Spice Laugh Comedy Bash 2024.
The place go flood with laughter.
the laundry, always do a full load. Save water.
This awareness initiative is part of activities under the Climate Resilient Water sector in Grenada. The project is funded by the Green Climate Fund, the German government, and the government of Grenada.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers. To the point here, Classic Radio, GBN TV. Once again, good morning to those who via our social media platforms. We're talking this morning, myself and Mr. McIntyre. We're talking about, preparedness in general. Don't forget, you listeners and viewers, if you want to chime in on the conversation for some reason or other, in terms of the presentation Mr. McIntyre gave out this morning, feel free to, chime in 435-2041 if you do have a question or two, or you have a concern or query in terms of what we have mentioned, and we may be seeking some clarification. We certainly will be able to assist you. Let's take our first caller. Caller, good morning. You're welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning to you, sir.
Yes, sir. The question of looking at your television just before a hurricane, and sometimes you may be curious enough to be looking at your television during the hurricane to see the activities of the hurricane. Is that a dangerous practice? Thank you very much.
Thank you, caller. Interesting question there, Mr. Mike.
And it's interesting that I find, I don't know which angle first to add, because it is not exposure to electronics and so forth could be dangerous. It depends on what's happening.
Yeah.
But information is something that you need to access. You can get it by different means, and television is one of the means through which you can get it. So it is not necessarily dangerous until a situation presents itself that could make it dangerous. But accessing information via television or visual means is not necessarily dangerous. Right. The other dangerous aspect of it is that it depends on where you're looking for the information. Could be dangerous in the sense of making wrong judgments based on where it is coming from.
You could be getting misinformation.
But we advise people from all of the sources, as many as the sources that you can get information from, you should access it.
All right. Let's take a caller. Caller, good morning. You're welcome.
Good morning, GT, and good morning, Mr. McIntyre. I'll be brief this morning. One of my concerns is that the aftermath. I'm concerned that since we haven't learned how to live together thus far, in a hurricane or a disaster generally, there are certain things that happen, especially when you have people having to congregate like in the shelters. The issue of how we deal with the psychological, how we deal with the security stuff, these times women are raped and that kind of thing. How can we get our people psychologically ready for such when we don't have sufficient, say, like, exercise or drive on and that kind of thing? And everybody just waiting for information at the particular time, and then maybe confusing the media, the radio, and so on. I'm concerned that we need to really begin to think about that seriously. How do we get people to understand that at the other end of a disaster, sometimes that's when the real issue starts, apart from the destruction, the physical destruction. Thank you.
Thank you, caller.
Yeah, I just wish to add, I mean, that's a
I like the angle in which he came across
took it from. I think generally the aspect of disaster preparedness, generally, we can beat it up a bit more on the airwaves.
Yes.
But the other point of the downside of it is that people don't pay a lot of attention to the information that's given out. Kudos again, NADMA, they do have, the gentleman mentioned drills or so to take place, exercises. I know there is one coming up later on I think it's in July, that which, I'll be providing some assistance with them in ensuring that you can bring it into life, act it out so that people can understand a lot better.
Okay.
So that is something that is trained to happen.
Call via WhatsApp. Good morning, you're welcome.
Pleasant good morning, sir. How are you doing?
We're doing pretty well.
I am so glad to hear that Brother McIntyre is back on the air this morning again with the same disaster program thing. You know, I have a problem in my yard for a number of years now. In the other administration ruling, when our minister, Mr. Spaceman, Adrian Spaceman Mitchell, was here, when they was building that concrete road here, it was a problem with me on my side, causing that problem for me because I didn't know, I didn't understand. And that is what does happen sometimes. You do not have a knowledge of certain things, and sometimes you bring problem upon you. They was building the road. After they built the road, then the people came asking me, the workers came asking me where putting the outlet of the water. And I didn't know the measure of water that will come into my yard here and cause all this problem, washing away all the land. We do not have a proper garden down there anymore, which is the water causing all the problem. They came in, they put some slab on that in front of my road door here. But the amount of water that does be coming, it just mashing up and it's just breaking all the slab because it was not properly built. They didn't put steel inside the things, and as a result, it just breaking and it's almost finished up now. And we are right again, how much years? And this hurricane season is right upon us again. And I'm really calling upon the authorities for speedy assistance. Even when the hurricane after Ivan, they gave me some strap band for my roof. And they never put it on the house for me, and up to now I still have it inside here. And I am not somebody that is very well for a few years now. I really need a quick assistance with whatever the people could give to me, the government or whoever that is listening. I could get some help, especially with that draining and with that roof flash strap band. Thank you, God blessing, and all the best to you all.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
So, ma'am, I would advise you to get in touch. There's a district coordinator. I suggest, I know you are in the St. Patrick area. There's a district coordinator in that area. Or you can call the NADMA head office, 440-8390, I think 83929 up to 94. These are some of the numbers that you can call, and you can put your calls with them, and hopefully they can direct you or have somebody come and check it out so that you could have some corrective measure. I empathize with that situation, and it is part of the conversation we were having in terms of you carry the prior assessment and you do what is called the EIA, environmental impact assessment or otherwise, of what is likely to happen, and that needs to have some level of consultation, even with the locals in particular, before things actually happen. She also relates to the substandard seeming approach to what the engineers may have done or the builder, and this is the kind of thing that we are strongly suggesting that most stringent inspection measures and processes should be in place to ensure that we get quality.
All right. We do have another caller. Caller, good morning. You're welcome.
Good morning.
Good.
And how are you?
We doing good. We doing good.
Great. Well, I just have a concern with the roads in terms of actually the bridge. So I've been just driving around and I realized that a lot of the roads need to have back walls, because I can see it's not even rainy season as yet, just to say, like, not much rain is falling, but I can already see the erosion of the people's land that is going down into the drain. So I'm just asking for the government, to build proper back walls and to also do the draining, to clean the drains, so that, in terms of a hurricane, that it can flow nicely and not have major floods.
Okay, caller.
Yes.
Thank you, caller.
Thank you very much.
Thank you also. Thank you very much. Thank you.
The caller just raised an interesting concern there that we even discussed in our disaster readiness program last night.
Yeah.
We spoke about terracing of land. We spoke about contouring and the effective use of land to avoid things as what she's speaking about, the wash away, the erosions and the blockage that can, because of improper land use. In addition to that, the inability to put mitigation aspects into it, like ensuring that you remember we are speaking about the type of grass people can plant in certain areas to prevent certain places from moving, and where people should put up retaining walls that would prevent certain areas from moving. So that is cause for concern, and we're hoping that our program would be listened and followed through and pick up these issues and follow into those areas where people are reporting that these things could happen, because some things may be happening through sheer ignorance. There could be agricultural practice or land use practices that would not be consistent with good developmental
you
practices.
Just think it's okay to
they may just think it's okay, and they will need to be informed and advised as to how they can do certain things in particular areas. There are different land use practice that will happen in different parts of the island, and that I'm sure is not widely known or expressed, and the access to the information sometimes is so difficult to people who sometimes are not very electronically savvy, because a lot of people who are involved in agriculture and otherwise are people who from the era that were not dependent on the electronics so much. So they'll be continuing their regular practice, and they're not getting the information in terms of how things change and what modifications you should have.
Caller, just before we entertain the next caller, I'm seeing a question from someone. Someone has said, I thought when the wind speed passes 70 miles per hour, it becomes a hurricane. So they want to just correct that. I think we did mention it a while ago.
So it's 73 miles per hour, and the hurricane starts at 74.
At 74.
So a category, you have the tropical storms, the wind speed goes up to 73. Once it goes beyond that, 74 miles per hour, you have a category 1 hurricane.
So when it's at 70, it's still not a hurricane?
70, no.
They're saying it's a 70, so it's not. Caller, good morning, you're welcome.
Good morning to you, GT, and good morning to Mr. McIntyre.
Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning to the doctor. You have a doctor there?
No, I don't think there's a doctor here. Mr. McIntyre hasn't gotten that those credentials as yet.
But I'll tell you, I am doing that now. He's in that university, and I'm the dean, and I'm giving him now Mr. McIntyre stroke doctor. Yeah? So he held that title now, just me. But you are so professional, thank you, sir. Guys, not everybody who do those things when we are waiting to be polite and to say, well, look, sorry for holding you up, but yeah, you'll become very, very professional. Keep it up. Yeah, you have grown, trust me. I'll tell you something, the strength of what that lady said a while ago, she's so right. But when you're doing retaining wall and to prop land, what I observe sometimes is that the wall is lower than the level of the land. That wall is supposed to go above the level of the land, so it props the land. So any debris that comes from the land is supposed to stay behind the wall. Yeah? And so we have to get to that practice. Now, as it relates to Mr. McIntyre is talking about mitigating. But do you know that at this time of the year, we have not started cleaning drain, and the bushes on the side of the road is falling into the drain, and nobody is saying anything. You know, a few days ago, I called the Ministry of Works, one of the arms of the ministry, to inform them that a drain might be blocked if the heavy shower come. And nobody came, nobody listened. Eventually, the rain came last week. The drain was blocked. It flooded, and it went in the neighbor's yard. Thank be to God, there's a goodly gentleman there who went and unblocked it quickly. You know, nobody come to look at the drain at this point, so it's partially blocked. When you are interacting with the ministry, so I know moving around, does you raise this concern direct to the Ministry of Works, what you see, and the urgency with which this thing's supposed to happen? Because we're late for cleaning drain. We are in the storm month, and we're late. You know, what could we do at this time? What advice would you give the ministry now that drains start to block and flooded? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much.
An expansion of the clarification to the question that the caller asked in terms of the tropical storms and hurricanes. A lot of people tend to believe that when winds are at a certain speed, that it is not, or storms are supposed to be like just a few miles per hour. There are weaker storms and there are very strong storms. Like there are weaker hurricanes and very strong. So when a system moves from a depression the wind strength is what increases it. So when the wind speed from a tropical depression gets, I think they're about 38 miles per hour, it goes into a tropical storm. So it has reached, and it goes up from that amount of miles per hour until it gets to 73 miles per hour. So you have very strong storms that could have effects as hurricanes. And people need to understand that tropical storms are not just the weaker things that are not destructive. So there's a slim margin between a strong tropical storm and a Category 1 hurricane. And then between Category 1 and 2, again, similar to what happened to us in 2004. Hurricane Ivan was a strong Category 3.
Yeah.
People thought it was a Category 5. But what it left to Grenada was Category 5 devastation because of how the country housing stock and everything was set up. It had that kind of a devastation.
Okay.
So I think that need to be. I don't want you to explain it a little bit further.
All right. Let's take our final caller. Caller, good morning. You're welcome. Good morning, caller. You're welcome.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning to you.
Yes, I just was listening to the gentleman speaking about the drains, but the bigger problem with that is that the people who clean the drains, and they do a good job most times, but they throw all the stuff from the drains back up on the bank, which washes back down in the same drain, and they do this over and over, and they've been doing it for years. So I think it's something that one should educate the people who are cleaning the drains about, so that their stuff is not thrown back on top of the drain, but is moved away properly. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much. Mr. McIntyre, our final caller.
It is one of the things that we see happening, and again, our monitoring and enforcement measures. There is two dumping sites in Grenada.
Yeah.
One in Perseverance and the other in Dumfries, Carriacou.
Yeah.
But when people are being paid to dump things to take this site, they go to illegal dumping sites all over Grenada and they put these things out.
Yeah.
Similar, the guys are given contracts to take things off the roadside and dump them. But what they do, they push them someplace off the road from where they just clean. And as the gentleman say,
or just throw them on the embankment.
On the embankment and it washes right back. But who's enforcing that? Who's looking at it?
All right.
So once again, it has been my pleasure explaining and the impacts of hurricanes. We hope that we do not have to deal with one, but just in case our neighbors or we have to deal with one, our capacity mentally or otherwise, we are better prepared, and that would be as a result complements the information that we share via this medium. So
thank you, sir.
My thanks as well.
So, Mike, thank you once again. Hey, folks, that's how we take a wrap for this edition of To The Point. Thanks to all who contributed this morning. You called in, or those of you who are at home, you sat, you listened, or even though you were taking care of your chores around the house, but you were listening, and the information that we discovered this morning, certainly hope that you put it into practice, of course, when the time comes around. Until another edition of To The Point, that's what we say. Goodbye.